What happened is that she got a lot of flack for calling me out, calling me an anti-Semite. She got grilled in the comments, which she deserves. And it's true. I almost want to be like, you're welcome for showing you who the ops are. Exposed Contrapoints bias. Because a lot of people notice. The noticing continues, Contrapoints, that we notice that you don't speak about the Palestinians. You mention it fleetingly in passing, as if it's an afterthought. And then you write this screed going on for paragraph after paragraph after paragraph after paragraph about how it's really people critiquing Zionism are just, they're too cutthroat. The words are too harsh. That's what you have here. I'll read it in full though. So, many leftists feel betrayed because I haven't made a video on Palestine. Do they actually want a ContraPoints video about Palestine? Like, already, just, you know, already making about yourself, about how you're a victim in this, questioning the sincerity of a genuine critique of your content. Are you kidding me? Do they actually want a ContraPoints video about Palestine? Will they be happy if I get in the bath and pour milk on a mannequin of Benjamin Netanyahu? Ah, okay, yes, let's straw man the entire, you know, argument from the people that are criticizing you right now. Let's completely straw man it and bastardize it and say, and make it out to be like, she's got to do this crazy thing so that people will believe her, which she's not equipped to do, and it's really your fault for trying to put that expectation on her, even though the expectation is completely made up, completely contrived, and she's only trying to say this as an angle to not be accountable for her silence, and silence is complicity in a genocide. And you reveal your whole ass just on the face of it. The TLDR is like, ContraPoints is the victim. The Jews are really the victim. Now, let's not forget, the Jews have a monopoly on victimhood. The Israelis have a monopoly on victimhood. I'm saying the Jews have a monopoly on victimhood, as speaking as if I'm ContraPoints. Like, that's how they love to make it about Judaism. They love to make it about Jewishness and the victimhood of the Jews. And again, the one entity making this about Judaism is Israel. They're carrying out a massive crime against humanity under the banner of Judaism itself, the symbol of Judaism. Everything they do is in the name of the Jews. So she says, no, I have posted about Gaza occasionally and have quietly given money to Palestinian aid organizations. Well, that's not what we're talking about. You've put, you know, where are these posts? Why is it that when you do pipe up about this, it's decidedly about anti-Semitism? But I think what leftists really want is for me to join the chorus of anger. They sense some hesitation on my part and are judging me very harshly on my presumed opinions. You guys are treating ContraPoints unfairly for her silence. So, you know, just to clear the air, she'd rather be judged on her actual opinions. So here they are. Is Israel committing a genocide in Gaza? Yes. Do I oppose it? Yes. Do I feel angry about it? Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences and barely 2 lines of text devoted to the actual problem, to the actual root cause of all of this, the actual genocide. Everything after that is complete self-victimization. So she goes on, doom. The week after October 7th, it was clear the mood among Israeli leaders and civilians was overwhelmingly kill or be killed, existential panic, and unstoppable lust for revenge. It reminded me of the U.S. after 9/11. So she's just whitewashing it, you know? Whitewashing. Well, you really couldn't talk any sense into the Israelis post-October 7th. It was like talking an American post-9/11. So I just, you know, I just shut up. I just, in the face of all that, it's too much trouble for me, okay? There was no reasoning or protesting them out of it. Look, they were just going to do what they did. That's why I stayed quiet. Nor was it politically feasible for the U.S. to withdraw aid to Israel on a time frame that would make a difference. This is unreal. Like, she's now the arbiter of U.S. foreign policy. She knows how the mechanism of the Pentagon works and how literally all you have to do is stop sending the weapons materially. You know, we have Pentagon officials resigning in protest, and these ex-Pentagon officials have more courage and more spine than a leftist content creator or so-called leftist content creator named ContraPoints. Like, it just makes no sense. What time frame are you talking about? Like, it's very reactionary style thinking, don't you think? To just say, well, what's the point of even trying? Because it wouldn't have made a difference. They were going to kill all those people anyway. It was on the same time frame. As if they can't emergency, like, stop. They can emergency send. They can't emergency stop? I don't think so. You're making it out to be like the people in charge can't do anything. Their hands are tied. It's absolutely ridiculous. It would have required replacing most of Congress and overturning decades of bipartisan strategy and diplomacy. It would have taken a general strike. It would have taken a strike. It doesn't even fall onto the Congress. If people decide to strike, you know, it's not just Congress. We are in control here, and she is responsible for influencing. You know, she's got a very big audience. She could use her platform to advocate for Palestinians. What we can do, she could have done videos where she did a deep dive on companies that are complicit in aiding the supply chain, the death supply chain that Israel needs to get its criminal acts completed. And no, it's none of that. It's none of that from her. We don't see any sort of problem solving. She's got all the nuance in the world for everything else in the book. But when it comes to advocating for Palestinians, it's too complicated, okay? The path to peace is just too complicated. It's too convoluted. You wouldn't understand. It's not politically feasible, blah, blah, blah. All a bunch of excuses, all a bunch of bullshit. She's got a huge platform. She could be doing something, especially if she thinks that what she's doing is important as an influencer. I mean, how are you going to be an influencer and think, oh, well, it wouldn't even be important for me to try to influence people on this? Like, I'm just saying, if she really believed that, if she was standing on principles, if it was clocking to her that she was standing on business, she would be about that action, and she's not. Okay? It would have taken years, so there was a sense of futility, but worse. Yeah, she was hopeless. There it is. Oh, it was just too futile to try. That's such a privileged take, right? Such a privileged take to say, why even try? People are dying, you know, day after day after day. The least she could be was angry about it. The fact that it was being done in her name and with her money. But no, it was all so futile. Here, number 2, chapter 2, she continues on the myriad of ways of how she's a victim in the Gaza Holocaust. And not the Gazans, of course. The leftist pro-Palestine movement quickly decided that their primary goal was not merely opposition to the genocide, but opposition to Zionism in general. Okay, I just want you, we could do a little thought experiment here. Let's just change every time they say Zionism. Every time she says Zionism, we'll just replace that word with Nazism. Because that's essentially what we're talking about. It's essentially what we have here, materially speaking. These are the policies that this group, this ethnic social group, is carrying out. They are materially the same as the policies of Nazis. So let's just get a little bit of a historical context. Let's broaden our horizons here. I'll read the sentence again, but I'll use Jews and Nazis, right? Because that was the big irreconcilable contradiction in World War II. So we'll say the leftist pro-Jewish movement quickly decided that their primary goal was not merely opposition to the genocide, but opposition to Nazism in general. That is, opposition to the existence of Germany as an Aryan state. And here, they decided to draw the line separating decent people from genocidal fascists. Yes, there are some good Nazis, which had the following consequences. It shrunk the coalition. Yeah, the optics of the leftist pro-Palestine movement in a genocide happening live stream to you for 2 years now. And who's at fault? It's the reaction to the genocide. We haven't reacted with the highest form of purist ideals that Contrapoints holds us all up to, of course. Okay? We should do better. Yes, they're murdering all these people, okay? But you need to react a little bit better. Do better. Contrapoints judges you for that. It shrunk the coalition. Now Nazi is a very broad category. Nazi is a very broad category, guys. Most Germans are not. Anyone who supports a two-state solution is a It was politically infeasible. What is the pathway that takes us from the present situation to the dissolution of Germany as a pro-Aryan state? I don't see how this could happen without either a total internal collapse of Aryan society or else, you know, nuclear war. As usual, leftists have championed a doomed cause. So it's a doomed, yeah, we're trying to save the Palestinians and end the genocide is a doomed cause, according to reactionaries like Contrapoints. Like the privilege that is soaked in this brain rot is unreal. It's palpable. It's maddening. It introduced dangerous ambiguities. The vagueness of Nazism as a political Satan enables all kinds of rhetorical abuses. On the one hand, right-wing Nazis hold up all anti-Nazi protests as existentially threatening and inherently anti-Nazi. On the other hand, there is a long history of anti-Nazis using the term Nazi in deliberately equivocal ways. The now popular anti-Nazi label to legitimize their agenda, and many people are not informed enough about anti-Nazi to recognize when this is happening, and these problems are mutually reinforcing. Thank you, Dash T. Well, that's how people are silenced, by crushing any hope for them to stand with Pallies. That's right. She's playing into that hand, isn't she? See how she's trying hard with this excuse salad? That's exactly what we could call it. A excuse salad. And I feel like the last little bit is sort of subtly at me, and I'm sure others, but in her mind, I'm all too happy for the opportunity to misappropriate the now popular anti-Zionist label to legitimize their agenda. So she's tapping into, there are people that do this, that are like white supremacists, right-wing white supremacists that are full-blown Yahtzees, and they look for any excuse to blame the Jays. There's a linkage there between like anti-Zionists and white supremacists, which nobody's saying that that's not a legitimate thing, but you're still talking about the subordinate aspect in this whole thing, okay? It still misses the mark. It's like, so the what, okay? Because at the end of the day, people are being massacred right now. Why are they being massacred? Because there's an ethno-supremacist apartheid state that believes in the idea of Jewish supremacy, which gives them the right to be very anti-Semitic, in that they are carrying out the worst crimes against humanity, physically speaking, in the material world. They are carrying out the worst crimes against humanity in the name of Judaism, in the name of a religious ideology, which, you know, Orthodox Jewish people and people with common sense and critical thinking skills correctly see as wrong and anti-Semitic, if there ever is anything to be complaining about in the world, Contrapoints, for being anti-Semitic. It's the Israeli state. This is misdirected. Some of this I can't tell the difference between, is this Milikowski rhetoric that I'm listening to from Contrapoints, and there is that meme where she slowly transforms into Netanyahu, because that's ultimately what it sounds like, and that's ultimately what you're serving. You're tone policing the left for reacting and satirizing a very anti-Semitic state carrying out a genocide in the name of Judaism. I mean, the courage it takes to be able to do that is amazing. You know, the Palestinian children, thank you for really sticking up for them. So have I made my points understood and well known? I just think that she's griping about the left. She should be griping about Israel, which is guilty of all the things she's accusing the left pro-Palestine movement. I will show you some of the retweets of this. Matt Lieb says, I love this genre of post where someone writes, to clear up any ambiguity, yes, I believe Israel is committing a genocide, and then a 5-paragraph essay about why they were actually right to keep silent about it until now. Yep, it's basically patting yourself on the back for your complicity and your silence. Contrapoints is a genocidal Zionist scumbag who views Palestinians as subhuman and believes mean words online about Zionists are much more dangerous and evil because it makes Zionists like her and her close personal friends feel unsafe, the most low-life scum alive. You know, that's another thing. Oh, look, I didn't even read all this. She goes on. There's 4 chapters. Oh my God. The online left has spent the last 20 months distributing hundreds of photos and videos of dead Palestinian children. The main effect of this has been to create a population of people in a constant state of blood-boiling rage with no consequential political outlet. Oh my God, it gets worse. Exactly, Adil. I had no idea that it got so much worse. Oh, you know what this is? This is Contrapoints. Finally, she gets to vent her rage for being shown, for her feed being filled with all these dead, maimed Palestinian children's bodies. It's been too much for her. She doesn't need all that, okay? You know? Why don't you guys put a warning on the label on the video before so I can pan it, you know, so I can scroll past it, because it's just too much, okay? And we can't do anything about it. Suddenly when it comes to genocide and defending and not defending Israel, she's a political orphan. She's an orphan child. It's all futile. But when she wants to go after whatever axe she wants to grind about making these 40-minute deep dive videos, suddenly she's Walt Disney. But you get the point. I fear this may be worse than useless. Yeah, sharing all these photos is worse than useless. Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are conceptually not the same, and conflating them is dangerous. Really? Because that's exactly what you're doing right here. You made the conflation. But in practice, the way Israel's perceived does seep out into attitudes towards Jews in general. Yeah, that's because one goal of Israel is to make that association in everyone's head that they are the chosen people. They are the Jews. They are the one and only Jewish state. Their mandate is to find a safe place for the Jews. What I want to ask her is, and whose fault is that? Why do you think when a Middle Easterner says D word to the J word, Might it have something to do with the $1 trillion PR apparatus that Israel funds to put that into people's minds everywhere? That every J word is out to K word them? Wow. What a shocker when that conflation comes back the other way. I don't think Jews who feel isolated and wary into the current atmosphere, this is simply hysterical. I mean, this is just, it gets so worse, guys. I don't think I could do all this. This is all just a bunch of nonsense. This is pure cultural mystificational BS. This is why Mike from PA put it very bluntly and succinctly when he said, just shutting the up is an underrated skill. Okay, and this is who made me think of it. I have to say, the whole idea of replace Zionism with Nazism and see how the metaphor holds up. Sure, Palestinians are dying, but have you considered a Jewish woman from Brooklyn just can't even right now? Is Israel committing a genocide? Yes, but that's worse than saying nothing. Yes, they are, but here's the deal. No, there is no but. That's it. Full stop. You're an idiot. Deeply unserious. What really needs to be said is that every open Zionist should be chased out of public life.